Hey guys, before we get to this video, give me a quick second for our friends at Autotempest.com. They have always been very supportive of our work. They've been with us for years now. Autotempest.com saves you time. And I don't know about you, but for me, time is all I got. So if it saves me time, it saves me money. What it does is it combines all those searches for all those car sites into one place. That's right, it searches sites like Cars.com, eBay Motors, Cars Direct, Cars Soup, and more, and then compares results with all of Craigslist nationally and Autotrader.com. You know, browsing for cars on the internet can be a useful task if you need a car, or it can be a fun task if you just want to see what's out there. But what you don't want to do is double work, and Autotempest.com helps you just search one time instead of over and over again. So go check them out when you're looking for your next car. Now enjoy this video.
Hello, guten Tagen, welcome to the 2013 Jetta GLI. That's better. This is a 2013 Jetta GLI, and I'm Zach from Smoking Tire. If you haven't heard me on the podcast, well, then you don't know who I am, and you're probably very mad at the internet right now. This is Art. Art, how you doing? Thank you for driving up here.
No problem.
You brought a very nice looking 2013 Jetta. For those of you who don't know, the GLI was like their light performance model a couple years ago. The new one's coming out in 2019. I think the headlights look like a Charger. It's kind of weird. I just looked at it last night. Right? Don't they look like a Charger? It's got like the 3/4 of a rectangle thing going on.
They look better in person though. I saw one.
Do they?
Yeah.
All right, that's good. Because this looks... I had a Jetta press car years ago. Like, I think it was probably around 2012, TDI, right before Dieselgate. And the difference a little bit of lowering makes is huge. Like, your car, I think, sits perfect, and it really helps the shape of this car.
Thank you.
Versus the one I had was like up in the air, and it just doesn't look as good. But anyway, we'll get to that. So this has a ton of stuff done to it. From the factory, you get a 2-liter turbo with 200 horsepower, 200 torque, 6-speed dual clutch. It's electric steering. It was like that been like that for a long time. As we know, these cars tune really well. But you've done a bunch. So take us through really quick, like your engine and everything.
Well, the main thing is APR K04 kit, intercooler, downpipe. I have some things to stiffen up the chassis and some brake upgrades mainly. Okay.
So because we're going to talk about all the suspension parts once we start driving. K04 kit, got some APR stuff on here. How much power did you gain when you went from stock to full K04?
Sure. Well, with the 91 octane and probably 150 crank, it should put out about 300 wheel horsepower.
You gained 150 crank?
Yeah, because it came with only 200.
Right.
So with the K04 kit and tune, supporting mods, it should push about 350.
I know that like the current VW Audi 2-liters are like some of the best 4-cylinder engines ever built, and they jump. The new ones now, you just throw a tune on and you get like 80 horsepower out of them. And so this was 6 years ago, and you know they hit their stride. I remember like the 1.8-liter turbo always got made fun of. That was the beginning of modern turbo technology, so they weren't great. But now you get so much power. But even this thing, 150 more crank horsepower is significant. That's almost 100%. That's awesome. Oh man, it's a good time to be into cars. Can you imagine if we were born, or actually got our license in like 76, and everything had like an 8-liter V8? That was amazing. You just pick it up. The heat hath ruined our suction. It was right there. What was I saying? Oh, had we gotten our license in like 1976, everything would have like a 6-liter V8, but make 140 horsepower, and you couldn't do much with it, you know, because the smog laws were so strict. That would have been such a bummer. And nowadays, 2-liter turbo, and you just like, I don't know, put some good gas in it, and it gets 100 more horsepower.
Probably want to put it in manual.
Oh, right. You like to run in manual mode.
Yep.
Over. We got paddles still.
And traction.
You like traction off. Hold it or just hit the button?
That's it, I think.
Right, because these cars you can't fully deactivate traction control.
Right.
Big complaint, and I think valid when you're building a tuner car. And wheel spin. All right, I like the metal paddle feel. It definitely doesn't shift as quick as a modern dual clutch, but that's to be expected. I think this is the one that, you know, originally was developed for the R32, and then, you know, it's a hand-me-down. That's not what this thing's really about. You've done a cross brace on the chassis, underbody brace on the chassis. You've got a brace from the transmission, also to like the back of the car,
and then engine transmount, and then just better wheels and lighter rims, lighter wheels, better tires. It makes all the difference.
This is a really comprehensive build. Like every part of it has been elevated at the same. Well, actually, I was gonna say at the same rate, but I don't know if that's true. Did you add power like everybody tends to, and then start adding brakes and suspension, or did you do it all at once?
Well, I try to do it incrementally, but once you put the K04 kit on, it's such a huge jump in power. I realized I needed better wheels. I realized I needed some stiffer mounts, and so I did the mounts just recently.
It's so like quiet in here, and these seats are comfortable. The GLI came with better seats than the regular Jetta. It came with some trim pieces, and the big thing it came with though was multi-link rear suspension instead of the torsion beam that the regular Jetta got. Unless you're in Europe, in which case the regular Jettas in Europe also got multi-link, but not in America. I'm gonna hit this again because it seems like it's letting go. All right, wheel spin. Wheel spin. It's do you know where your boost comes on? Do you know like what RPM you have max torque at? It's like real low.
4100 is peak boost at about 28 pounds.
Okay.
And that's just the way the tune is from APR.
Because I think
3.1 tune.
I think from factory the peak torque is real low down. Like most modern turbo cars, it was like 2,000 or maybe a little bit lower. Not peak horsepower, of course, not peak boost. Your brakes, let's see. A little bit of scraping. Brake pedal's really firm. There's no dead space in it though, which is nice. Some cars like 30% of the brake is spent getting to the brake. It's like you're traveling, literally and figuratively traveling to go get your brakes. It's so quiet in here. This is such a weird, like if you're in a Fiesta ST or something, it's louder. Mini Coopers, well, it used to be louder. And this has the same like comfortable ride you'd expect for a German sedan, and then you'd be keeping up with all those guys. Like I just keep leaning on the tire more and more. I know I'm not yet near the limit of adhesion, but it's just got so much stick. This is a really well done car. When I saw the email list, it's like, all right, this person put thought into every part of the car. You didn't just go, I need 600 horsepower, and then how are the brakes? You're like, no, I don't know. They're stock. I haven't looked at them. Like,
you said, dying sucks.
So, did you? What part? Because you have so many parts, was there one you put on that made the biggest difference? I know it's a hard question, but I'm just curious because you've done something to every part of the car. Did you put on a brace and you went, oh, wow, it's like a whole new thing? Or
sure. Other than the larger K04, I think that it was all the lightweight mods I did. The tires, the wheels are a lot lighter than the stock. Spared delete, and then the lighter battery, believe it or not, about 150 pounds, but that was even after I had the K04, and when I got back in the car, it just felt completely different.
That's a lot of weight.
And the stickier tires.
Yeah, tires are the thing that people tend to skip past because they're not sexy, they're not cool, right? They're not adding horsepower or noise. They don't really look any different, but they're the only part of the car that touches the ground. And some of you are like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And some of you are going, that's true. Like acceleration, braking, and cornering are all determined by your adhesion. So if you can change that mod and you elevate all three of those things at once, there's no other part that really will do that. I'm always just curious when someone like you, I'm going to let this car get some space. you change so many things, and you've changed a lot of things that most people don't touch. Like chassis bracing is something not everybody does because it's difficult to do. It's like physical work, and it's not as easy as dropping a coilover or something. But it can really change how a car feels, and more importantly, like it lets the parts you bolted on do their job, because you're not like, if the chassis is flexing, you're like, oh, this car's a little bit soft in the corner still.
Right.
I need stiffer suspension. You're like, no, you might actually just be feeling chassis flex or like a weak point.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna pull away. We'll just cut through this part. It's getting busier. It's just strange. This feels. I don't know if you saw the video. This guy brought like a modded Passat, same year I think actually.
The black one.
The black one,
Yeah,
super clean black one.
Super clean.
Your car feels way quicker in a straight line. His, I don't know. Oh, he had like a weird tune mod on it. But its cornering and driving was like great. You know, you take like German sedan and add more German sedan. All right. We're gonna short shift because we know that first gear is just gonna have wheel spin. This is the perfect road. All right, so we have a little scraping under cornering there. So do you have that, like when you drive around town you hit a pothole, is that rubbing in the back?
It depends how deep the pothole, the bump is. I mean, on dips it will rub the back left fender liner.
Okay.
I really need some better struts, because I still have the OEM struts on here.
Oh, okay.
And they're just a little bit too soft.
Okay, yeah, that might be part of it.
But also these wheels are a little bit wider. I'm running 235 Yokohama AD08Rs, but I noticed they're a little bit wider, the tread, than the PS4s. So I think just a little bit is rubbing on the fender liner.
That's a weird thing that happens, right? Like I remember when Thad put tires on the Fiesta years ago, and they would rub under braking in a corner, and he was like, they're the same size, but it was just they were like a thicker sidewalls, very slightly.
Right.
I know, like I put PS4s on my car, and my sidewall's too big. That's my error. But they're also just like a chunkier tire than some other ones. So you got a little rub, but I mean, if you lifted this car half an inch, I don't think it would drastically change the way it looks or feels, and then you might not have the rub. But maybe just the struts would fix it. It's so planted that the speed is like underwhelming. It's like it's uneventful because it just puts the power down, it goes in a straight line, it feels super composed through all of these corners, it feels very go-kart like, and you know, it doesn't have like this lean, like, oh my god, we're going faster and faster and faster. It's just really, really well sorted. I want to go the other way, and hopefully there's no cars in the way, so we can drive a little bit quicker. I may have a cut point, and we'll jump to that. Have you autocrossed this ever? Have you tracked it ever? Is it just like a canyon thing?
Canyon runs, and I took it to Fontana Speedway once.
On the road course?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Oval.
All right. Yeah, that's a serious track.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun.
You can go real fast on the oval there. All right. I just did that. Okay, we got some nice S's here. So steering feel, it's it's electric. It's early electric, Alpha 4C. I remember when I drove, I think an R32, and then the other Jetta, like, the steering feel was pretty bad. This is definitely better. You don't really feel the weight till, like, there. It takes, I don't know, it feels like there's about 15 degrees in the middle where it's, like, a little bit light and numb, and then it gets some weight to it. But the ratio feels like it's a nice speed. Man, this is a really great. This is a great lesson to people that you just got to put the right parts on, and you got to tune them properly too. But I think it's easy if you have a car that's 7 years old. One option for going faster is to go, okay, I can spend some money and buy a new insert car here. Pause for tunnel, because this thing does sound pretty good. You know, you can buy a new car that has a new chassis and new suspension parts and stuff, but I think one of the big evolutions with car manufacturing is like unibody is just getting stiffer and stiffer and stiffer. Like every time a new version of a car comes out, read the news on it, and it will always say chassis rigidity is up 10%, 20%, sometimes even more than that. That's one trick that not trick, that's just something they always want to improve on. But you can do a good amount of that connecting the pieces. It sounded like we just died in a video game. Like an old Atari, like, oh God, really dating myself there. Like, do you kids remember Atari? No, you don't, because you're watching videos on the internet, which we didn't have. God damn it. Why? Well, that's a bad suction cup. Hi folks, we're back. I'll be throwing this suction cup away. I don't know why that keeps happening. Okay, we were talking power, asking how it feels, so we're going to explore exactly that. Talk about how it handles, talk about the brakes. Second gear. Well, that was a quick jump in speed. I think it's probably close to that. We are at altitude, which, I mean, we have a turbo car, but it does affect turbo cars a little bit. It is hot out, so I don't think it's making 300 wheel now, because that's how science works. I think it's probably close to that if it was a cold day and we were down at sea level. I think the butt dyno is definitely affected by how planted it is, because like we're held in the seats well, all the power is transmitted to the ground. We're not like squatting back, and your power seems to come on pretty early, so you don't get this like. So I think all those, there's a couple of things tricking us into thinking it has less than 300 wheel, and it's also, 85 degrees out, if it's even that cold. Because you haven't dynoed it, but like we're flat, it's building. I mean, we're going quickly. It's just it doesn't feel like. Oof. There's something that happens with, I don't know, cars that have like older turbo systems. They don't make the torque and the power as low down as this one, where you kind of like the anticipation of the power makes you feel like it's faster than it is. It's old Supra, stuff like that, where you go, oh, it's coming, and then right for the last 2,000 RPM it goes, whoo, and you go, oh, there it is, and it's because you're getting all that power late in like a chunk, versus. This thing just destroys corners. I bet Fontana was a great time. Like, it's real planted on the oval at speed, and then you go into the infield. It's got a lot of like medium to high speed, medium speed 90 degree corners, and it's great. And it pulls. Like we're going very quickly. Earlier today, I drove a 800 horsepower F-150. We're getting up to similar speeds of that truck, and I think it's because this can carry more speed through the corner. That was like 20 in the corners, and then floor it, and X speed on the straightaways. And this is just like coming through quick, and then we're pulling, up to about the same speed. I mean, in a drag race you'd lose, but this is really well done. This is good. This is good evidence. Like, you don't need to go and buy a brand new thing if you put the right parts in. And like, new cars are fun. New cars are awesome. Why did the lav turn off? Well, we're gonna have to use this sound. What was I saying? Like, you just don't always need to do one. You can put a couple of $1,000 into what you have.
Right.
And
especially when you
really
start out with the prices goes under $25,000 to begin with. And so for somebody looking for a little cheaper car to put a little bit of money into it, I mean, maybe $30,000 and you get this.
Yeah,
altogether.
That's the good thing about the GLI is it was competing with like the Civic Si. You could get a Focus ST. They were all 20 to 27ish. Like I think an option Focus ST they started to get more towards the 30s. But that's the market you were playing in, and like the things you could choose from. This. I like Focus ST, but I like having a locking trunk also. This definitely is a more adult-looking car and feeling car than like a Civic Si is a really great car. It's a great car, but I feel like you could grow with this for 10 years a little bit easier. And it's nice having turbo torque. Like the Civic Si, they have the same horsepower to start, but to get power out of those back then, before they went to turbo, was like much more difficult. This, you gained 150 horsepower. So it's awesome. Yeah, dude, good job.
Thank you.
Everything's really clean inside. It feels great. You just get rid of the scrape on the cornering.
Okay.
And, because it's like, one, you're cutting your tire a little bit. Two, it makes you go, oh.
Yeah.
And you just know that it doesn't have to do that.
Right.
So you just, once you get that done, you're solid, man. Thanks a lot.
Yeah,
This is
thank you for
awesome.
inviting me.
This is very good. Check them out, man. Use GLIs. Use GLIs, put some good suspension on it. You have a real good Canyon car. Check out our t-shirts on Blip Shift. We get new ones every 2 weeks. They got some good jokes. They're really comfortable. The graphics are awesome. And they help support this channel and help us pay for gas to come up here and do these things. And listen to the podcast if you don't. We put it up twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. And if you catch a live broadcast, you can join us in Super Chat, and we will answer all of your car buying, fixing sometimes, or other silly questions. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Hey guys, before you move on to your next thing, don't forget we have a new shirt in our Blip Shift store. This one is dedicated to those who hate left lane hogs. It's only on sale for 2 weeks from June 17th to July 1st. So go to blipshift.com/TST or hit the link in the description after this video.